Good morning, all.
Prazer enorme estar aqui.
It's a big pleasure being here in this event. Congratulations to Channel Plural for this international event.
Parabéns ao ministro Fábio.
Congratulations to the Minister Fábio, the Secretary Porosa. Thank you. I'm here representing the work group of B20, the work group that Alexandre just explained about, how the private initiative is involved in suggesting ideas and proposals and join them with the public sector. I'd like to highlight that the Minister of Agriculture, Perosa, gave us an opening, an extraordinary opening, and we had the opportunity to present our project while the ministry was still elaborating their own proposals. So we built together with Perosa. We were able to show that some suggestions that we were bringing were of fundamental importance and needed to be incorporated in the text. And we've had this opening. So what I will bring for you today is the conclusion of our work, that we'll have the opportunity on Thursday to defend, together with all the ministers of agriculture, to look for our suggestions to be accepted and incorporated and become plans of actions and transformation, which are so important for our sector. Just quickly talking about this group, we've had 139 people that took part in this group, more than 22 countries, members of the discussion, not just Brazil, 14 feeding sectors of agriculture, and we reached, and plus a third sector, which are area specialists. It has been 5 months of a lot of intense work, and we reached a diagnostic, and I will share quickly the diagnostic of what are the systems of sustainable food and agriculture. The first conclusion is that the world has done extraordinary work building a system of feeding, food system, that today employs 35% of the people that work in the sector. It represents 10% of our GDP. It feeds more than 8 billion people in the whole world and has grown 18%. It has 18% of trade in agriculture. And in less than 50 years has grown 150%, using only 12% of its area. So this is extraordinary what we've built. But this system of accelerated gain of productivity brought 3 challenges. The sustainability challenge. Our sector needs to make calculations, but officially 26% of GHG of emissions in the food system. On the other hand, 65% of people working in the workforce, which live in situation of poverty, they work in the food systems and agriculture. And we have 2.3 billion people which face moderate or severe food insecurity. So these 3 challenges, they interact among each other. And that is why, if we manage to transform this system, it's a great pillar for us to be able to generate more equity. First, people in starvation.
seguramente trabalhar
We can
e ter uma
surely
produção de alimentos
produce food
alimentar a
and
população
feed
inteira.
the whole
Porque ao
population.
mesmo tempo que a gente
Because
fala
at the
que a gente
same
passa
time, when we
quase
say
3
people are
milhões
starving,
e quase
we also have
30%
a food wastage of
a outra
almost
questão do
34%
planeta,
of
nosso
food. Another matter is the planet. Agriculture
segundo a FAO, de 9 a 23%
can have from 9 to
das
23%
emissões
of
globais de carbono.
global
Então,
carbon
esse sistema
emissions.
pode ajudar a fazer
So we have a system that can help make this transformation. And lastly, economically,
essa mudança, essa transformação
this
vai gerar
transformation
muito
will generate
crescimento
much economical
Então,
growth.
podemos atacar os dois
So
desafios,
we can face both challenges and with that generate more economic development.
os sistemas de alimentação,
Now, the
eles
food system,
são bastante diversos.
they are very
A
diverse.
gente classificou aqui
We classified
5 tipos de
5 different types.
iniciante e um sistema super avançado.
The rural system, the beginner system, and the super advanced system. And we are talking about that globally.
Obviamente que dentro do Brasil,
Obviously, in Brazil, we know the level of inequality that we have among the productive sectors. So, to build a proposal that will
foi grande desafio para o nosso trabalho.
answer to all the sector's demands was hard work because there are countries which are in many different moments of development.
A conclusão que nós
The
chegamos
conclusion we got
é
to
que
was that
as propostas, 3 eixos de proposta,
3 different proposals,
elas servem para todos os sistemas.
they are useful for all
Elas
systems.
podem variar
They can vary in intensity
de uma ou de outra proposta,
of one or another proposal,
mas
but
elas servem para todos. E vão
but
depois
they serve all proposals and will also depend on the speed we will execute them, and they are based mainly on the need to increase productivity. We will not feed more people if we don't increase productivity. The whole world needs to increase the productivity. And in another discussion ahead, I will talk more about that. Second matter, we need to have
dinheiro para a transformação.
money to make this transformation.
Investimentos.
We need massive investments in this transformation.
E o terceiro
And the
é
third
que
is that
os sistemas
the systems,
de trade, o comércio,
the trading
é um
system,
agente fundamental para
they are a
ajudar
fundamental agent to help end
a fome, a segurança alimentar. E ele
food
pode ser um
insecurity,
agente de
and it can be an agent of incentive for better
Então, nós trabalhamos esses
agricultural practices. So these are the 3 pillars, the 3 biggest proposals. Each of them, for each of them, we elaborated 2 actions. Because if we start with something too complex or too big, we won't be able to adopt any of them. So we try to reduce our proposal so that it can resonate with the ministers and the authorities that will discuss the matter of the challenges of agriculture. So the first, I'm showing here, how can we increase productivity? Through the adoption of better technologies. So, what are the better technologies? Citing some few technologies, but biotechnology, digital technologies, the use of regenerative agriculture, the matter of livestock management. We're talking about the reduction of fermentation, but more important than that is the matter of animal nutrition, reduction of time, of weight gain. So we have many technologies that already exist that if we adopt can increase productivity a lot. Obviously, science has the role of develop each time more technologies, but the technologies that already exist today already have a fundamental role in that. And today we look at that and we ask ourselves, Why isn't this happening faster? Why are the technologies available? It's proof that they increase productivity. Why aren't they being adopted? What are the barriers that have made it difficult for their adoption? One of them is the economical barrier, the first of them. The other question is the technical barrier that has to do with technical assistance and operational, and the other is social. People have to believe and trust that doing that, it will increase their productivity. So if we treat these three barriers correctly, in the correct way, people will understand that when they adopt these tactics, they will produce more with less. And going back to the matter of agriculture, the productivity system, I cited before that when we compare a developed country with a less developed country, the average is different in about 40%. So the world is only one. So it's not helpful if only one country increases their productivity. So the capture of emissions, reduction of climate change, the planet works as a whole. The challenge is to grow the productivity in a manner in which it works more equally for all the countries. And another matter is that 70% of the workforce in the agriculture, they live in poverty. So this transformation in the system, it has to be inclusive. It has to make us reduce inequality. So it's not enough to just increase productivity. We need to make it in an inclusive way, in a way where everyone will grow with it. Everyone will be a transforming agent of the process. So that's why our first, let me go back. The first is based on the fact that we need increase productivity. And how can we do that? We increase productivity adopting better practices with the scientific part.
So I hope it is a change that allows that us to have a soil, a productivity that is bigger.
And the systems have to be more resilient because they not only have to produce, we have to produce for 10 million people. So we have to increase productivity and increase the resilience of the soil. And lastly, we need to include all the countries in the process, especially the small producers. They need to be included in this transformation. Second of our recommendations is the recommendation that has to do with the funding. I said that there were three barriers before that make it difficult for us to accelerate the process. And one of them is the economical barrier. Today, only 4% of the investment in climate are going to the food systems and to agriculture. And if I mention it just to the developing countries, it's only 4%. That's a huge challenge for the climate change. Agriculture has a huge potential to capture carbon, but only 4% against climate change go to agriculture. So there's a great disparity and a great opportunity. And we need money. We cannot make such a transformation without money. So we're talking about, in our calculation, about $300 to $350 billion that will be required to make this transformation. Now,
E não é só dar o dinheiro disponível.
And it's not just having the available resources, the money.
Nós não podemos
We
deixar
also cannot
fazer essa mudança,
make this change
sem usando pequeno
without including the small producer. Today, the small producers, they are responsible for a third of the food production in the whole world.
Qual é
Now,
o grande desafio dos
what's
produtores?
the big challenge of the producers?
Adotar práticas regenerativas.
To adopt regenerative practices,
Realmente justificar.
we know it can increase productivity and profits,
Eles
but
têm
we
acesso
need them to have access to credit, to loans.
Está disponível, tem que ter acesso.
So
Muitas vezes,
it doesn't matter if it's available, the producer needs to be
ou porque
accessible to
o
them.
financiamento é
Maybe the loan is too small, the finance system has no interest in that loan.
Primeiro,
So that's the first.
a taxa. O que
The
custa
second
nós vamos financiar
is the
essa
fee,
transformação,
the
o
interest
pequeno
fee.
produtor que vai fazer
So at what cost are we going to finance the small producers? And the third is that we need time for maturing, because when we start making investments in the beginning, the profit is negative. So we need time to mature this process. And lastly, we need to have some sort of insurance so that it can diminish any challenge that might happen if they lose a crop. There's a crop loss. So the finance system needs to understand that a fundamental point is that we should have a system built build a system that will pay back the services, the environmental services.
Então, o financiamento, parte
The
disso
funding,
da remuneração do serviço ambiental.
part of it should come from the change in the environmental services that would help
Conseguir fazer com que esse financiamento
it be
seja mais
achievable
acessível
to us,
fazer a transformação.
that will make it more achievable, more accessible to make this transition.
Então, eu estava falando sobre quem tem dinheiro.
So we need to have funding.
Por último, aqui,
And lastly, just to finish, talking about trade,
o trade ele tem crescido, ele tem
it has grown, it has a relevant
super importante para
role.
nós.
It's a very important agent for us, and we believe
O trade tem que ser
that the
visto
trade has to be
não
seen
simplesmente como
not
uma compra e venda, ele tem que ser
just
visto
as
como
buying and
agente de
selling,
capacidade
but
de
also an agent that is able to make transformation.
Ele pode acelerar. Ele tem que
It
ser
can
baseado em
accelerate and speed up,
técnicas
and it has to be based in techniques,
da tecnologia, dos sistemas
technological systems,
científicos, para que ele
scientific
permita
systems,
ele
which
seja
will
algo
allow it to be
multilateral,
a multilateral
e ele
agreement,
incorpore
and that it will incorporate
indicações da ciência.
indications from
Que
science,
ele seja
and will be
sistema
a system
que tenha compliance,
that have
transparência
compliance and transparency in the process that can be adopted. Because without the transparency, without clear indicators and effective, we will not be able to make this advancement. Now, we have food being wasted in some places and people starving in other places. So it's not possible to not understand how the trade is important to reduce the food insecurity. The trade has to be the agent to make this transformation faster. These practices have to be incorporated faster. And finally,
Para concluir aqui,
just to conclude,
se a gente trouxe aqui,
what we brought is that
à frente,
we see that the world is ahead, is in front of one of its biggest challenges. It's a climate challenge, food insecurity, more people to feed,
E a agricultura,
and the agriculture,
os sistemas
the
alimentares
food systems
podem ser os grandes
can be the
transformadores.
biggest agents of transformation because they can capture carbon, they can produce more.
Nós
So
temos a solução.
we have the solutions. We just have to be innovative in the systems of how we can fund this transition. It's not a job just for governments. It is for the governments, for the private initiatives, third sectors. We have to work together, and we cannot think about borders. The world has not no borders. Climate change, they do not see borders, and it's something urgent, and it has to involve everyone. Thank you very much.